they believe in a bunch of stuff thrown our way that we shouldn't put up with. I'm just being real and just saying what I got to say, so don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you like it is. All right, we have Miss Factory in the studio this morning. I met her, I only been knowing her not even a week yet. And when we talked a week ago, well, almost 6 days ago, I'm going to go down to it. We talked and I said, she was telling me things that she does about voting. And I said, oh, we need to get together. And I didn't think it was going to be this quick. But here we are, here in the studios. And let me see, I got the camera on you. And good morning, young lady.
Good morning. Bright and early.
Yeah, don't be shy.
I'm not shy at all.
So the reason why she's here, because I heard it on the news today, the other day, that the mail-in ballots wasn't getting out to everybody. And a lot of people was complaining that it didn't get out, that they would have to go in person, which I'm glad they're going to vote anyway. But they never did say what the problem was, the reason it's not getting to them. They didn't say how many they mailed out or how many people asked for them. So I know there's a way of tracking it once you get your ballot. Is that correct?
Yes, there is. And I'm happy to route voters to the right solutions today because early voting comes and goes, and Election Day is on the March 5th. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have for me today.
Okay. Oh, you shouldn't ask that question. You shouldn't ask that question. A lot of people know me he's always asking these tough, crazy questions, but no question is crazy. My question is, have you heard what the problem was about the mail-in ballots and what was going on with that? Have you heard anything?
Yes, so several precinct chairs have reached out to their elected officials with these complaints, which is completely normal during early voting. Folks have questions that are unanswered, and so I'll start with how I'm here in my official capacity. So okay. I am here today as the Senior National Coordinator for Election Protection for the Voting Rights Project with the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. And what that means is I am promoting a national hotline. So the Lawyers Committee has a national and statewide coalition that is comprised of the ACLU, the Texas Civil Rights Project, Common Cause Texas, as well as the Barbara Jordan Leadership Institute. And we are a powerhouse of organizers and attorneys that create volunteer opportunities for poll watchers and promote a national hotline. So right now, if you're finding issues at your voting place, you can call 866-OUR-VOTE and make real-time complaints or communicating concerns that you might have, or even just accessing basic voting information. So this is a wonderful tool. It is live as we speak because early voting is in full swing. So this is an amazing resource through the Voting Rights Project that we hope to see Bexar County utilize.
Yeah, I hope so. They do the same thing too, because I am Bexar County election judge, and so I went through some training that was going on, and one of the biggest things with that is you could no longer have your cell phone on. And a lot of people ask some tough questions. What if people don't want to do this? What if they don't want to do that? And stuff. And I understand even us, we can't have our phones on. Before, if it gets slow, we go to, but we can't even do that anymore. And the reason why they said that a lot of people was recording things and was getting things out. Me, myself, personally, I haven't seen it. So I don't know, it happened somewhere. But my question to you is with the poll watchers, it had changed, that a poll watcher could come in there anytime they want now and could leave and come back. Before, it was a time limit. If they left, they couldn't come back. So that's changed. So now a poll watcher can come in and leave and come in anytime they want. So that's one of the biggest changes to me that took place is the poll watchers.
Right. Yeah. Well, we train our poll watchers, right, in de-escalation and just really being eyes and ears for folks who are nervous about voting or don't have a voting plan, right? Like anybody can turn up to the poll in any condition from their day. So we make sure that they feel advocated for and watched out for. But a poll watcher's goal is to also utilize this hotline, right? Because a poll watcher also has that autonomy to observe and to report. So when folks see a poll watcher, they should feel safe and they should know that elections are something that we definitely have to protect. That's the future of our democracy. And so our goal, like I said, essentially with this hotline is documenting real-time complaints and revisiting the complaints from the voter, following up with the voter and seeing if that's something that needs to be escalated at a later time.
You know, I am glad that you said the poll watchers are there to help out and just observe, because when poll watchers first came to being really out there, it was so negative about them coming there causing problems and all that stuff. And I never seen it. The 4 years I've been doing, I never seen a poll watcher come there starting stuff. But that's the media. The media itself take this and they make it something that is not. And people are scared to death to do things because of that, and they shouldn't be.
Yeah, they shouldn't be. You know, we all have a responsibility as a democracy to help our neighbor, right? And to understand that to show up to the ballot box is to voice your experience in your precinct, in your district, in your county, and you should feel safe at all times while doing that. So I think it's important to reframe, right, the narrative about poll watchers, because poll watchers, anyway, our volunteer base are dedicated to creating safe experiences at the ballot box, and also helping with any information that a voter might need. How long will the polls be open? Can I take my voter guide in? Which the answer is yes, you can take a voter guide in to help you out, kind of like an open book test. So these questions are not bad questions at all. Every question is a good question, and you should be able to rely on your poll watcher to make you feel safe while you're submitting your sacred vote.
So one of the things going on right now that I feel, there are sample ballots right now that people go look at. What I ran across, sometimes people come in there and they don't know who to vote for. They ask me, who do I vote for? I said, I can't tell you who to vote for. I said, but here's a sample ballot right here for you to go ahead and you can get out of line and go ahead and read it over and everything. Then the next question come up, well, I don't know about this person right here. We can't answer that question. So if you are watching right now, well, I would say, who's ever on that sample ballot, do research on them, find out what are they representing, who are they representing, and what do they feel that you should vote for them and why. They should go out and educate yourself before coming to the polls, because a lot of people sometimes come to the polls are not educated who to vote for, and they end up voting for anybody because it doesn't make. I'm gonna vote for anybody, I don't care, without even knowing.
Absolutely.
So education is part of the process when they go vote.
Education is key, right? We're talking about the primaries. Things aren't even necessarily heating up yet, right? We haven't even gotten to the debates. The public is really just watching, and so we have to be conscious of that. But you know, I also want to emphasize the importance of local voting. The municipality is incredibly important. Everything from the potholes in your street to who literally represents you, your family. You know, I just really think that information is key, but also individual experience is key. We have to urge voters to bring their experience into the polls when they're making that decision. A vote is not a light ask that representatives make of their constituents. And so empowering voters in their decision, and also highlighting that is one of our rights, that is one of our freedoms, and we should exercise that any way that we can.
Yeah, you said one key point right there, and I'm gonna piggyback off of that. when you go out and vote, the national people all out there vote for this country and vote for that, but really it starts at home first, all the way down to the school board member, to your councilman, to all. It starts there, because you got to find out what they're going to do for your community, and it passes all the way up. But you got to know who's out here locally, who you're supporting, and do they believe in the same things that you believe in. But we know everybody's going to be different. We can't satisfy everybody, but it's got to be out there. To me, it's got to be grassroots in your neighborhood, get down dirty, and it happens in your neighborhood first and work your way up. Just like they said, with teachers, for instance, you can't send your kid to school and want that teacher to raise your kid. It starts at home, because when a kid act up in the school, he learned it from somewhere, maybe at home or somewhere. So that's the reason why we need to vote locally and find out who we're going for, because Lord knows we got some people out there that shouldn't even be running, because they want to change the whole concept of the United States locally and all the way up. So we got to really educate everybody, start locally, and then work your way. Find out who's your local council member, who's your local school board member, who is your sheriff, who is your constable. All that dictates on where at least your neighborhood is going. So I feel that they really need to go ahead and break it down and start at home first.
Definitely. And, back to the conversation about voting information, right? Voters should also know that you can vote in person and you can vote by mail. But Senate Bill 1 has shaken things up a bit and changed things, right? So voting by mail means that you have to be giving birth. You have to be incarcerated but registered to vote. You have to be elderly or disabled, or you have to be out of the county at the time that your election happens. And also what comes with that is when you have to request a mail-in ballot. No longer can an election clerk send it out to you. And you have to turn that mail-in ballot within 11 days of your signature. So that means that there are a lot of things to keep in mind when you're not voting at your polling station. And so, like you said, education and research is key in these situations, because the last thing that we would want is an elderly voter or someone who is disabled not having access to their vote because they can't be physically present.
And which brings out, there's curbside voting, so people can't get out the car. They do offer that. And the only thing about curbside voting, if somebody's in there helping you, we have to swear them in that they could actually help that person vote. A lot of people don't realize that we could do that. If you got a elderly auntie or grandmother coming in to vote, physically coming in, and they're not too sure or how to do it, we could physically, the person helping them, we could give them the deal, and they could help them. A lot of people don't realize that we could do that. But that person can't tell them who to vote for. But what they could do is help them over there and show them how everything is and go from there. And that's a key right there. One thing I'm going to bring up is what I don't like what happened is when they started closing down certain polling places, especially in Houston. They saw how they were voting, and they turned around and want to get rid of Sunday voting. They're doing all this, and I don't know why they're doing that, and it's legal. They could do that, that's the governor. He could do whatever he want to do. But they make it harder for minorities to vote.
Right, and you said something that caught my attention. The governor can do whatever he wants to do, which the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under law acknowledges that the governor still has an obligation to follow the Constitution, right, and to abide by the laws that protect a democracy and elections and the people. And so that's why this hotline is essential, because a lot of Texans are probably under the impression that their elected official can do whatever they want to do. But the fact is that there is concrete law that protect our vote, that protect the future of this democracy and a person's individual autonomy to deliver that vote all the way to the polls. So this hotline is essential, and I want Texans to know. That's why I'm sitting here at 9 a.m. Because I want Texans to know that there are attorneys and volunteers, law firms waiting to look into the best interest of the people and to protect these laws that were made to make sure that our elections are safe and are protected, and that we have the power as the people to decide what we want the future of this nation to look like.
So I'm going to bring up something, not a scenario. I'm just going to bring it up. So if you felt that you was done wrong when you was going to go vote, my opinion is go ahead and vote. Don't let them stop you from voting.
Absolutely.
But write down when you get out of there what went on, and then they can report it to your hotline.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can report it to the hotline in real time, 866-OUR-VOTE. We also have a Spanish version of the hotline as well. The hours are from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's Eastern Standard Time. Sorry. Yes, that's Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, absolutely. The moment before you walk in, if you see anything that makes you uncomfortable or you have concerns, even if you go home, right, at any time after the election as well, call this hotline. We are ready to document instances that you might have questions about. If there are glitches in the machine at your polling location, if the polling location was listed to be open but it's closed, right? These are very important things that we have to catch in real time to make sure that we have that documented and that we can follow up and see if this is in regulation, with the law. But I also will say that, a lot of folks feel like, oh, it just happened a day ago, and calling this hotline, like, what could that help? It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter when it happened. It matters that it happened. And also, we do offer basic voting information. If you're not sure, like you said, about sample ballots, or if you're not sure about voter ID laws, that's another thing too, right? Even to submit a mail-in ballot, you have to provide some numbers from your driver's license or your Social Security, right? So voters are struggling with the switch up with that. But voter ID laws, Texas is one of a couple of states that require that you have an ID present when you vote. And it's important for voters to know that. If you don't know that, you can call this hotline. So I just really want to make clear that this hotline is a valuable resource before you go into your polling place, after you go into your polling place. If you wake up the next morning and have a question, we're here to answer your question and to be there for you.
I'm glad you said that about going in and voting, having the proper identification. We do know that nobody's turned away from voting at all here. I know in Least Bear County, if you don't have the right information, you could still vote, but it'd be a provisional ballot. So they could, that's the last ballot that is counted. And so what they do is verify your information, and they go through all that. So we don't turn down anybody to come vote. So if you come vote, that's fine. Somebody brought up a question. If somebody came in and they was disruptive and police was called, that person could still vote before he's taken away.
Absolutely.
So people got to understand that. But don't come in there acting crazy anyway. Just come in there and just vote.
Yes, we should make it a safe, healthy space for everybody who takes time out of their day to vote, right? Because that's another thing, and we don't want voting to feel like a laundry list of something to do.
Right.
It's definitely, certainly it's a valuable contribution to our society, and we also hope that future generations understand that, and we're doing what we can to work with youth to get them excited and pumped about voting, because our quite frankly, our ancestors fought for that.
Yes, they did. Let me tell you a story, the reason why I became election judge. Because I heard of ballot stuffing and doing this and doing, I'm hearing this all on the news. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and sign up. It was either a clerk or a judge. I decided to be a judge. So I went on, took that long test.
What were you about to say? You were about to say
agonizing, because the information was not there in the pamphlet that they gave you. You had to go look at the, go to the state and bring up the laws about voting. So I did my research, did all that, And I said, let me push this button. And I passed it the very first time. I said, okay, I'm in the right place. So when I go do the first, my first precinct, very first time, I looked around, I said, how are they ballot stuffing things in there? Everything's electronic. That everybody think that we still sign paper ballots and put them in a box and going away. It's not like that.
No.
So that's a misconception that they were putting out. It was the media. See, media sometimes is at fault with some of this. And when they said this, they're doing that. And I said, there's no way they could do it. There's no way at all. So I went to see for myself, how the process is done. And by the way, they're still looking for judges and clerks for the November one coming up. They're still looking for that. I'm going to throw that shameless plug in there. They're still looking for that. But once you get there, you understand everything. You listen to people, what they're saying, and I don't respond back. When they come and say something negative about one party, the other party, I say, well, here's your ballot, here you go. And I walk them over where they're going to vote at. And they still bumping their gums, disappointed and all that. So I say, here you go, sir or ma'am, here you go right here. And I walk away because we don't engage with them. They want us to, but we don't. But when I go home, girl, I got a headache.
I know that's
for
right.
listening to all that. I have a headache listening to all that. But it's the beauty of volunteering, going out there, helping out. And a lot of people will talk all this noise. I tell you what, if you want to talk it, go to bearcounty.gov and sign up and for a clerk or a judge.
And see what a day in the life is like.
Yeah.
And on that tip, thank you for your work. I want to also thank anybody watching who works the polls. They don't get their flowers enough, in my opinion. Those are very long hours, early mornings, later evenings. Even when we're speaking on actual national general election day, they're counting ballots, right? Sometimes recounts are called in these counties. So shout out to the superheroes of the people who work the elections. And also, folks need to know that they can literally work the polls, and be paid for their time.
Yes.
That's something else that I hope our community hears is what other than a friendly way to get involved in your community than work the polls and see who's showing up to cast their ballot.
Yeah, it's nice because you meet different people coming in. And I've been working at the same precinct for 3 years, and they know me when they come in there. So you here again? I said, I'm only here once a year. Or if there's any other elections in between there. I said, that's the only time you see me. They said, well, I'm glad because people recognize the workers who's there all the time. And they come in and they say hi and all that stuff, and they thank you for doing all this. And that makes me feel good when they say, because they say, I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning, getting set up by 7. Then we're there till 8, 9 o'clock at night, breaking everything down. So it's some long hours. Very long hours. But it's rewarding because who else would do it?
If not us, then who?
Yeah, exactly. Who? So you cover Arizona too, right?
Yes.
Arizona. And that state had some difficulties with their election the last time it came around. So when you get these phone calls coming in and you do follow up and find out, without revealing whatever going on, but what is your process? Somebody call and complain that something's going on. How fast do you look into it, and what do you do?
Right. So election protection, we have an entire system, right? So a voter would essentially call the hotline and place what we call a ticket. And so there is a group of volunteers in what we call command centers that are ready to take down those tickets. The tickets document the instance of the voter information, and the date that it happened, as well as the location. After that, our team goes back and follows up with that voter to explore if this is something that needs to be escalated. And when we say escalated, we're talking about the legality of the situation. We're talking about the severity of the situation. If anybody was harmed or intimidated, that is documented in our system. This is a national system, so Texas has an area where that information is documented, as well as Arizona has an area where that information is documented. But it's important to know that we we see these instances on a state-by-state basis, which is important to acknowledge because every state has different laws, every state has different cultures, and every state has a different look, right, at a polling location, different election judges, right? So it's important for us to, like you said, acknowledge the difference in the states and apply a follow-up where we see fit with the voter.
Yeah, because we haven't. I remember, I forget what year I voted. I went to one of the precincts over there to vote, and this young lady came in. She just bogarted the line and started yelling, just yelling and screaming, "Your vote don't count. What you in here for? Your vote don't count." I'm saying to myself, if it don't count, what you in here for? You know, you in here being disruptive. You know, but it lasted not even 2 or 3 minutes. Somebody escorted her out.
And wouldn't you have felt better if you knew you could call a hotline and document that situation? Because what if that turned some voters away because they really felt like their vote did not matter at that moment, you know? So we're hoping to see a number of our volume go up in calls where voters are just confiding. Even if you call and say, "I feel great," by the way, we're not just here for complaints. We're here to uplift polling locations and acknowledge election judges who are doing their job just fine, you know? We really just want the community to think of this hotline as a friend because some voters don't have folks that they can call and say, "Hey, I did this really big thing and I'm super proud of it and I'm looking forward to the next election."
Which brings up, you said something. Well, I said something too, and you piggyback off of it. I think a lot of things going on with these elections coming out. There are going to be people standing around intimidating people, just standing there and looking at you, gawking at you, you know. And it happened in several states on the last election, intimidation. So they could call in on that too.
Absolutely. That's when we say election protection, right? We understand that there is a lot that goes into elections, campaigning, as well as voting, right? So we are acknowledging the history of the United States. We're acknowledging the civil rights movement. We're acknowledging the stones that were set, right, for our democracy to be able to cast a vote and feel safe while doing that, especially in the South. So certainly think of this hotline, especially as a place where if you feel intimidated or confused or your voting experience didn't go as you planned, or if you didn't have a plan, right? All of these things are under the umbrella of election protection that we cover, but I do want to make it very clear. And hopefully this makes folks feel comfortable who are watching. We are nonpartisan, so we are not here to tell you how to vote, who to vote for, or what circumstance to vote under. We just want to make sure that if you wake up and decide that you're ready to vote, that you can do that.
Yeah. So the other question, well, not a question, so much of a comment. I think there was 4 pages when I went to go early voting this time around. And I want everybody to know, I'm going to say this flat out, there is no time limit. So don't get up there and think you got to hurry up and rush through. There is no time limit. You take your time. Because we want to make sure you vote for the right person. Because the last thing we want everybody to know, this is not a cookie cutter. You go in and come out in 5 seconds. You sit there and take your time and vote. Nobody's pressuring you to hurry up and get out of there, because that was another misconception that somebody asked me, what is my time limit? I said, for what? They said to vote. There's no time limit. Well, somebody told me I had 5 minutes. I said, who's that person that told you that? And I said, were they a clerk? Were they an election judge? Or was it the main lady down there at Bexar County said you had a time limit? No. So who was? It was my friend. So you're going to listen to everything your friend tell you to do, right? There's no time limit. So I had to emphasize that when they come in, there's no time limit on that at all.
Look at you just doing the work. That you're doing the work of the hotline, right? Like that's something that we also hope folks call in. Like if your friend says, you know, you can't wear blue when you go and vote, right? Or you can't wear purple when you go and vote. We're here to, dispel myth from fact. And you just sound like you are so passionate about this work. I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I have a
Okay.
question for you. We're going to turn the tables. What would you say the voter participation has looked like in Bexar County in the recent 5 years? Have you seen voter turnout go up? Have you seen a change in voter participation from your perspective as an election judge?
What I've seen is when it's a national election, they're there in droves. The last one in 2020, we had a line starting at 6:30 in the morning wrapped around the school. So we had that. But when it comes to local voting, we don't get the same participation. We feel with local voting, we should have the same thing. We should have people lined up out the door, because a lot of people not vote for in between elections. They vote for the major one every 4 years. So I'm looking for having more turnout at this election. We're going to have school board elections and other things coming up throughout the year. And that's my only thing that I frowned upon, that they don't come out for locally, and that's the time they should come out, is for local elections. And we don't see that huge turnout when it comes out to the local elections. But when it's the national one, oh yeah, everybody's out there.
And that's why I am here during the primaries. I hope I can come back on during the general, because, there are organizations that are in the streets right now, block walking, passing out voter information, and turnout is something that I also hope to see is more consistent in the future. So that's on us to have these conversations at our dinner tables, to ask our family members, hey, are you going to vote today? Do you want to go with me to vote today? Like I said, voting should be something that does not feel like a chore. And it's interesting to hear your perspective on that, because the state of Texas is also the size of like 5 states, right? And there's a lot of rural counties and rural areas, and voting information looks different, unfortunately, throughout the state of Texas when it all applies. And so you and I have a lot of work to do to inform our communities and to make sure Bexar County turns out more to the polls.
Yeah. One other thing about that is about the polls. All right, now when this election is over with, the primary, we have to start registering people to vote. And that is one of the biggest things to do. Where do they go to register? Of course, you renew your driver license, you can register that way. But if you're not, how do you know? Well, there's a deal on BexarCounty.gov, voting. You can click on it and put your basic information in there. They'll let you know if you're registered or not already. And that's a good thing. But the ones not registered that we need to reach are the first-time voters. And I know a young lady by Sharon Anderson, I hope she's listening, she registered people to vote. And she said it's real easy to do. So any function that's going on this summer or spring or summer, it should be a voter registration table there.
Yes.
For people to register to vote. So that's grassroots, as we say. We have to get out there to the people and say, hey, are you registered to vote? And if they say no, well, come right on over here. I can register you right now to vote.
Right. And with even hearing you talk about grassroots, thinking about how you and I met, right, was at the induction of T.C. Calvert, T.C. Calvert Sr., who has mobilized the East Side for years, right? And so it's interesting to also see how voting registration has changed, how the laws have changed, where if you're a deputy registrar, you have a duty to make sure that the people that you register, you have a deadline to get those applications in to get people updated. Also, people need to know if you move, right? You need to update your address to be able to vote in the district or precinct that you currently now live in. I would love to see a voter registration table at every event. Juneteenth is coming up. I hope that there are like 20 different tables. So everywhere you turn, you are ready to be registered to vote. But I will say that Bexar County is really good about that. Organizations like Radical Registrars, TOP, these are organizations that move Texas Rising. They're on college campuses. They're mobilized throughout the city. And it might even feel a little bit annoying to be asked when you're at the mall, are you registered to vote? But just know that it's important, because one day you might forget and you might be like, dang it, no, I'm not. And somebody's there to get you registered.
We had one question that was asked, college students. They're from another state. And when they come here, they're they got the address of whatever college they're going to, and can they register in the state of Texas to vote? And I think somebody said yes, it is, because you moved from where you're at right now and you're here. But if not, you can always get a absentee ballot from the state that you're in. So we have to look at that. I got to look it up now to find out what I just thought about that. Now I got to look. I gave my own self some homework.
I mean, in that situation, I would recommend an absentee ballot just period, because you don't know what the deadlines are looking like for you sometimes, especially if you're in college. I know I didn't. So it's important to just definitely make sure you have the absentee ballot, but to certainly follow up and get your identification changed over, because you do have to have a state ID to be able to vote.
Wow. See, we brought up questions we don't even think about.
I know, look at it. Me and you, we're good at this.
Oh boy. So let me see, with your organization, how many people's in that helps out in that organization? Because I know it's not just you. If it's just you, you're doing one heck of a job, young lady.
It is absolutely not just me. I will not take the credit of this amazing organization. So, I mean, we have a network of hundreds, right? That's all the way from internal staff to partners to attorneys throughout the entire nation who are ready to mobilize. But like I said, we're a nonpartisan national and statewide coalition, and I just want to shout out the Legal Defense Fund, Texas Civil Rights Project, Common Cause Texas, the Lawyers Committee, right? We all are under this umbrella of EP, what we call election protection, 365 days a year, not just during an election. We're making sure that this hotline is equipped to answer the questions and protect the future of the vote, but also to brainstorm how we can get in the weeds. Like you said, we want to host trainings in Bexar County. We want to work with the youth and create a pipeline of future voters and lawyers who will protect our elections. So if you are watching this and you're interested in my coming to present about some history about the Lawyers Committee, or even just more information about what election protection actually is, because it is a very, very intricate system and an art that I feel like we are in the process of perfecting every day.
And how long you been with them?
So I'm pretty brand new, but I've been working on voting rights for several years now. I worked for Black Voters Matter Fund as their Central Texas regional organizer. I was arrested with the Black Women's Roundtable in 2021. So my advocacy for voting rights has been a while now, but it's all the same thing, and that is that the future of this democracy looks like our autonomy to be able to do that, and to uplift and remember the work that our ancestors put in for us to be able to exercise that freedom.
Yeah, because somebody asked the question, what will our ancestors think where we're at right now? And this one brother was brutally honest, he said they'll be ashamed of some of the things that's going on right now. Every time we get 2 steps forward, we take 5 steps back. And he said we can't keep on going backwards. And he also brought up, for them not to know our history is a slap in the face, because we got to know our history, where we came from, and where are we at right now compared to 1960s. I remember marching down Sheridan Road in Waukegan, Illinois, for rights to vote with Jesse Jackson, and we marched down that to support. We needed to vote. I remember all that. I remember the struggles. I remember the fights. I remember blacks getting pushed around, bitten by dogs. I seen all that. And they're doing it a new way now. It's the same thing, but they're doing it in another way. Because before Facebook and all that stuff, people actually read on what was going on and who to vote for and all that. Now, people get on there and spill what they want. In other words, to me, what they're doing right now, they're sowing doubt into everything that's going on. It's just, well, what if this? They have no true, how can I put it? No true truth to what's going on. They're sowing doubt in what we have right now. If you take doubt in that equation, and then you turn around, well, they might be right, then you start doubting. And my mom always said, you want to know something? Look it up. find the facts. And that's the problem nowadays. The facts is somebody telling you the facts without you finding the facts.
Right, right. But we also, I feel like, should lean into a culture of asking a question. You know, it's not all on us to know all of this information.
Right.
And I think that's the beauty in loving thy neighbor and trusting thy neighbor is believing that we all do have a common cause, and that is that we exist and contribute to this democracy every single day. So I would just say that the future of self-advocacy also looks like asking questions. And I hope that we can feel more comfortable to do that after this interview.
Yes, we will. I know I will. I'll come find you again because this is not the last time we're going to speak, young lady.
You see me. I am busy.
Yeah, I see. So in closing, just run down if something happens in the polling place, how to get a hold of you and let them know, okay, is this going to be, do they have to give out their personal information if they call the hotline?
It is helpful. It is helpful
Okay.
if they give out their personal information, but they can also explore that with the person who takes their call and ask that person those questions. It is helpful for us to be able to follow up with who made the complaint and make sure that they feel safe. But once again, this hotline, 866-OUR-VOTE, is also available in Spanish. And I did not mention Arabic, so please feel free to call this hotline, especially during early voting hours. I'm here to remind Bexar County that tomorrow is the last day of early voting until March 5th. March 5th is election day. We will be in full swing in our command centers ready to answer your calls. But once again, I am here in my official capacity as the Senior National Coordinator for Election Protection over Texas and Arizona. So proud to live in Bexar County and proud to serve the entire good old state of Texas on the future of voting rights and election protection.
We appreciate you coming in this morning because we talked and she was saying, well, I have something at 11. I got something. I said, what about 9 o'clock? And she got up this morning and she showed up.
I sure did.
Next time we have one, I'll make sure I have you breakfast or lunch or something sitting here. I wasn't prepared today. That's my fault. So I owe you lunch.
You owe me lunch. You don't have to do that at all.
Yeah, I do.
I am so happy to inform the future voters and to inform current voters and just be in this space. I'm sure both of our ancestors are smiling down on us right now for doing this good work and this heavy lifting.
All right. Thank you for coming in this morning. We really, truly do appreciate you taking the time out and coming in and talking with us.
Thank you.
All right. You heard it first, right? That was Ms. Factory. And, you know, let me cut her mic back on again because I got to ask her this question because when I talked to her, she said, yeah, my last name is Factory. And people sort of, well, they look at you like.
Yes, they do.
They look at you like, what? Are you serious? And they give you that look. I didn't. Now, you know, matter of fact, when you spoke that Friday, I beat it in on you. I said, she's not leaving until I talk to her.
You did, yes.
And stuff. But you have a unique name.
Thank you.
And nobody can, and when they say Miss Factory, you should turn around and say, I'm here.
Oh, yeah, I'm keeping my last name. I told my dad, even if I get married, we're going to have to figure it out because I am keeping this last name.
He's going to take your name.
Well, maybe. We'll see.
They could do that
We'll
now.
see.
You know, the law changed. You know, they could take the woman's name.
Yes, we'll see. I'll keep it for everybody.
But we're going to have you on next month because it's National Women Month.
Yes.
And I want to have guests coming on like you. And they don't have to be professional what they do. They could be at home moms. You know, I just want to recognize the woman that does everything. And that's the reason why on my show that I said, this is the year of the woman. The reason why I'm saying that, there's a lot of things going on that old men are voting for you about your body, and that needs to stop. The women could really turn out with the vote. And
black women did.
Yeah, black women turned out. They
Absolutely.
And now we're going to have some other people join them.
Yes, we are.
Because what's going on right now, we need to put a stop to it.
We need everybody at the polls, and black women cannot save every single
Right.
election. So, yes.
I even put out for, I think last year I was talking, I said, and you black men need to come out and vote too. If your girlfriend or wife is going to vote, you go with them. Mm-hmm. Don't sit back and say, well, it don't make no difference. I'm going to tell this story. It's real short. I was a resident of Bernie, Texas. It was this constable who was just obnoxious. She was doing whatever she wanted to do. So I formed a newspaper there. And when all the votes came in, that constable lost by 13 votes. So don't tell me your vote doesn't matter. I'm just saying, we got to get out and vote. We got to do it.
The numbers do matter, especially in a state like Texas with so many rural areas.
Yes.
Every vote counts.
Yeah. All right. We appreciate you coming on. Boy, we sort of tagged on another 5 minutes on there, didn't we? I don't know who to blame on this one. I'll take responsibility for it. All right, everybody. We appreciate Miss Factory coming in and doing her thing. We really do. So we're about ready to get out of here. It's time for us to get out of here, too. So I'm going to let everybody know that keep on doing what you're doing. Do not give up whatsoever.